what's up, everybody? This is your AEW Dynamite post show here on the Ringside Report Network for Wednesday, January 19th. Tonight on the show, Sting goes at it alone. Cody Rhodes cuts a killer promo, and Jon Moxley returns. Oh, yes. What up, John?
Well, not the best episode of Dynamite tonight, but you know, given it's one of those shows, it's the lead up to one of their big shows, right? So it felt like one of those typical. This is a build-up show, and you know, again, like I feel like this is week in, week out. I feel like the first hour there's some good moments, usually the best moments of the show, and then it's just, well, you're getting through it. That's a typical thing, week in, week out all the time.
I struggled to get through tonight's episode. This was particularly weak. Maybe because I didn't like the main event as much as you did, but I thought tonight's Dynamite was... I mean, it had its moments, you know, but overall, I'm struggling to come up with a match of the night. I don't think we had any good wrestling matches tonight. The promos tonight were good, but the matches... nothing special tonight. Nothing.
Again, this is a build-up show pretty much for next week, right? Next week, kind of like their big special, which is odd to call it Beach Blast when it's pretty cold out now.
Beach Break. Yeah. I don't know why they would have Beach Break in Cleveland, Ohio at the end of January. It's not like they're in Miami or something. They're in Cleveland. It's cold there.
Right.
What is beachy about Cleveland?
Well, it's because they had it there last year, right? Or they had the event around this time. So
did they?
And they were always in Florida. I think there's a good chance they always had this event.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Beach Break on Dynamite is next week, so they'll have a big show next week. They've got Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy in a lights out match, which I don't know. Cody Rhodes against Sammy Guevara in a ladder match for the TNT title should be good. Hangman is not wrestling Lance Archer next week?
I never got the confirmation they were wrestling next week.
No. They're not. Which,
Yeah, they're building towards it. They did a lot of good build tonight. But Archer, I think, has only had 2 matches since he came back. So he's still got to climb up the rankings, I think.
No Bryan Danielson on the show tonight. 2 weeks in a row, I don't get Bryan Danielson.
0-1 on the year, so he's really far down the rankings when you think about it.
Yeah, okay, but no one's thinking about it because who cares about the rankings? What are you talking about? Don't try to piss me off right off the bat here, John. Don't try to just go at me right away. I don't need that.
I'm just telling you what AEW publishes. Like every Wednesday night, they always put out the top rankings. They made the mention about why Anna Jay's getting the title shot because she's the number 1 contender.
Yeah. Why?
Because she's number 1 ranked.
For what?
For the women's championship.
So why doesn't she get a shot at Britt Baker?
For some reason, it's against Jade. I guess she chose or whatever. I'm not sure, but she's getting that shot.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Who booked the show tonight? What the hell was going on? This felt like a deviation from Dynamite. I don't know what was going on tonight, but it felt like a mess of a show. A lot of weird stuff.
If you look at Rampage, it seems like they wanted to book Rampage better, I think. I think they realized Rampage was kind of weak last couple of weeks, and it feels like they have bigger matches on Rampage now because of that.
I guess that's what it is. They need to make Rampage a little bit better. They do have Jon Moxley's return match on Rampage this week against Ethan Page. Riff Raff.
Well, it's just a win for Moxley. You know that.
I know, but you know what I was talking about the other day about the Riff Raff on AEW and how there are some good, talented wrestlers, but then there are people that I'm tired of seeing. I'm just straight up tired of seeing. And that's kind of been AEW's MO from the beginning. There's some great stuff there, but then there's some other stuff where you're like, what is this? What is going on here? What am I watching? Why am I watching? Who are these people? Who's Sky Blue? Doug likes Sky Blue. Shout out to Doug. Shout out to Angelo in the chat. Silent by Deadly. Johnny North is still a pro wrestler. Johnny North is still a wrestler. Silent was like, is Johnny a wrestler at one time? Like, Johnny is still a wrestler.
Feels like a lifetime ago, but yeah.
Yeah. Doug says he liked Sky Blue. I don't know. I walked out of the room. I didn't even watch the match. Who cares?
I mean, it was a squash.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't really much of a match, but I thought Deeb looked pretty good, though.
Yeah, Serena Deeb is good. But, like, there were some good moments. Jon Moxley's promo at the beginning of the show, solid. He looked good. He looked like he lost a little weight. Looked in shape.
Yep.
Ripped that jacket off, showed his physique. Fans chant welcome back. They were quite happy with him. One fan didn't seem too happy with him, was like, get that piece of trash out of the ring. How come you heard that fan so clearly? Moxley heard him too. Like, it was weird. The crowd was loud, and then they went dead, and then there's this one fan just yelling things about Moxley and how he doesn't like Moxley, and Moxley's like, go fuck yourself, you piece of shit. Oh. Right? Moxley drops a go fuck yourself as soon as the show starts. Opening minute of the show, Moxley's dropping F and S bombs. That promo was expletive-laden. However, it was a solid promo from Jon Moxley. The crowd audio sounded like it got cut out after Moxley had to go at that heckler, right? Didn't the audio seem a little off there?
A little bit, but I think it's because the censor was late, so then that's why.
No, I think that's why. I think they cut the crowd because you could only hear Moxley, and it was like a weird sound. I think they cut the crowd at that point. But then they brought them back. Moxley talked about a black cloud hanging over him and the demons that followed him around his whole life and how he had to go away and get better. And, he was in rehab. And Mox talks about the scars that are inside and they're hard to see, but those are the ones that make you who you are. And plenty of people want to write him off, but he doesn't run from demons. He beats the shit out of them. Moxley says he's thirsty. And he says, you thought I was dangerous before, and these days, all I drink is blood. So Moxley's a vampire now, I guess. But, he's saying, look, I don't drink alcohol anymore, and I'm back with a vengeance, and I got violence on my mind. I'm pissed off. I haven't had a drink. I want to beat somebody's ass. Which makes sense. When you're dependent on something and you want that thing, you don't get that thing, you get a little irritable. You want to beat somebody's ass. So Moxley's irritable. Wants to fight. Look good. Good promo. Talked about his demons in a wrestling way. Well done. Well done. That's how you come back from a very public stint in rehab for alcohol. Right? I thought it was well done as far as the content and the promo and the attitude and everything. I have no problem with that opening promo for Moxley. A lot of swear words for 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night, but, that's what AEW does. They swear a lot.
Well, I think we talked about this last week, too, where it's like we knew Moxley was coming back, I believe, this weekend to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, he more than likely is going to be on Dynamite because they wouldn't let his return to the ring not be used like on AEW. And sure enough, that's what's happened. Well, he's probably wrestling like right now.
No, it's live. I think.
On Friday, yeah. Seems like they had a decent crowd there.
Yeah, I don't know. They'd have the taping. Yeah, I thought it was a taping. JR said it was live.
But... Yeah, they could say that, but it doesn't mean it's true.
Okay. I don't know. I thought he said, like, oh, it's live. It's not usually live. And I was like, yeah, it's not usually live. But, yeah, it's supposed to be in Washington, D.C. on Friday. And they were in D.C. tonight.
Separate tapings. Wow.
No, I don't think it's separate tapings. Oh, no, it is separate. Yeah, it is separate tapings.
Is it in the same venue? Same venue, too? Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, they're back live this Friday in Washington, D.C. I'm looking
Well,
right now.
More.
I could buy tickets and everything. Oh, I could buy some
that explains more
pretty decent
why they're
seats.
trying for Rampage.
$29. Decent seats for $29. Wow. Explains what, John? Sorry?
Why they're trying hard for Rampage, because it's a live show. Crowd's not so dead.
Yeah.
So they actually try to make it into a show they really want to watch. So it makes a little more sense now, I think.
And buy tickets for, right? I mean, usually Rampage is taped after Dynamite, so they only have to sell tickets to the building for one night, but now they have to sell tickets for the Friday night show. I wonder why they're doing that. Kind of weird, right? That they would do... Usually if they're in the same city for a Dynamite and a Rampage, they just tape them both on a Wednesday, and they don't stick around for the Friday show, but AEW is spending their week in D.C. Kind of odd. Not a usual thing for AEW. Usually Rampage is taped. I wonder why.
I think it's better. Live shows are better. I find when it's taped, the crowd's kind of dead. It's not as lively, and it just feels like, they're just trying to get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
So when Rampage is live, it actually has a better feel to it when you watch it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad that it's live. Obviously, it's a good thing, but I just wonder why. I wonder why. I also wonder why. Let's get to the main event. Let's skip to the end here. We'll get to the rest of the show in a minute. But I wonder why it was impossible for two men in their early 30s, jacked professional wrestlers, to beat up a 62-year-old man in the main event in a 2-on-1 situation. The Acclaimed took out Darby Allin before the match. Doctors brought him backstage. It was a 2-on-1 match. The Acclaimed versus Sting in the main event. And Sting did well. He didn't get beat up. I mean, eventually they kind of took advantage, and Darby came in with 5 minutes left to go in the match and made the save, and Darby and Sting won, and whatever. But Sting was in charge of the Acclaimed for a good chunk of this match. Now, okay, he's Sting, and he's a legend, but he's still a man that has been wrestling since we were small children. We were babies, basically, when Sting started wrestling, right? He's in his 60s. And these two guys that are supposed to be an up-and-coming tag team in AEW, they just get their ass whooped by this guy. How does this make the Acclaimed look? Yeah, fine. Sting is great and all, but maybe he shouldn't get so much offense in on two guys that are half his age. Two guys that are half his age. And it's not like it's Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta that Sting is beaten up. Anthony Bowens and Max Caster have some mass to them. They're big guys. They're in shape. They look like pro wrestlers. It didn't look realistic for this old man in a t-shirt and face paint to be beating up these two young, in-shape pro wrestlers. And if it does make sense, then what does that say about the Acclaimed? Caster cuts a good promo, but they're not believable at all. Also, it's got to make sense. A few weeks ago on Rampage, I watched Anthony Bowens have a competitive match with Darby Allin one-on-one. Tonight, he couldn't even be competitive with Sting 2-on-1. It's got to make sense. It's got to follow logic. If Anthony Bowens can have a serious match with Darby and compete 1-on-1, why, when it's 2-on-1, can he not have a chance against Sting? Why? It doesn't make sense. And you could defend Sting all you want, John, and come up with your excuses as to why this made sense, but you'll be wrong. Go ahead. Tell me how wrong you are. Expose yourself, Johnny. Expose your wrongness on the show.
I'll just tell you, it's Sting. That's all I got to really say.
Okay, well, how about this then? Why don't we get Baron Von Raschke to come out and beat up all the AEW roster? Why don't we get Gerald Briscoe's ass and fucking he comes out, beats up everybody in AEW? Oh, it's Gerald Briscoe, John. Why doesn't Arn Anderson beat up all the baby faces? Arn's like younger than Sting, I think. Oh, it's Sting. Whoa.
I think he's older.
Oh, why don't we get... How about Tully? You know, like, why doesn't Jake the Snake just hit DDTs? Why isn't this just a Legends League where all the young wrestlers get beat up by these old guys that can barely walk? You see Sting splash off the stage? Did that look like he got any air at all? Like, okay, it's great that he's doing this at his age, and he looks good for his age. But it doesn't mean he should be beating up guys half his age. It seems a little... When you're watching this, you're like, all right, well, this is... It just takes you out of it. You know, you're watching it, and you see Sting, and you're like, oh, he's pretty old, you know? Caster's cutting a promo before the match, and he's like, what did he say about Sting? He said, Sting's going to learn a lesson. We'll have him looking worse than Starrcade 97. 1997. Sting was wrestling. And he wasn't young in 97 either. This guy's been around forever. He's the oldest guy on the roster, and he's beating up guys half his age. 2-on-1. 2-on-1. Come on. It just, you know, you're supposed to suspend disbelief and all that in wrestling, and I'm good with that. But there's a limit to what I could swallow. There's a limit to what I buy. I'm not buying that. It's like, all right, dude. Can we just end this? Like, the show is already kind of bad already. And then you finish with this. Ooh. WWE would never do this. They would never do this. 2-on-1.
Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't.
WWE respects a 2-on-1. They respect a good 2-on-1. The only guy who's fighting out of a 2-on-1 in WWE is Roman. Everybody else is going down. And a 2-on-1, you find your spot, you go down. I mean, okay, once in a while, handicap matches. Drew McIntyre against some jabronis, but...
Sheamus that we just saw recently.
Yeah, well, his partner got hurt there, and he's Sheamus. And Sheamus is not in his 60s, and he's jacked as hell, and he's gigantic, and I could buy him beating Ricochet. And the WWE's not trying to push Ricochet. From what I understand, the Acclaimed is like a young tag team that AEW would be wise to bring up to the next level. They could talk, they could wrestle, they got the look, they're young. However, this is how AEW treats the Acclaimed. It's to get beat up by Sting. Great promo from Caster before the match. The Acclaimed, beating that ass if you're hating. Fighting with us is gory self-mutilation. Because WWE said what AEW did, the women's match with the blood, they said that was gory self-mutilation. So Caster used that in his promo. Turned it against him. Flipped it on him. Tremendous stuff from Caster. He's an awesome, awesome promo. The tag team is great. It sucks that Sting beat their ass tonight. Darby and Sting win. Darby hits the coffin drop on Bowens for the pinfall.
Well, you're going to hate this, but to me, this was the match of the night.
Okay. I don't care. I mean, whatever. I don't hate it. I don't care what you choose as your match of the night, Sean. It really doesn't bother me. I disagree, though. I don't hate it. I just don't agree with you at all. I think match of the night for me was probably Punk and Spears because it was so short. That's all I needed. Yep, that's all I needed. That was good enough for me. Honestly, I thought Malachi Black and Brody King against the Varsity Blondes, maybe. Or Punk and Spears because it was so short. Cole and Baker against Orange and Statlander was maybe better, even though that was kind of...
That was a mess.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Archer and Kazarian was kind of cool, I guess.
Oof. Like, it was good for what it was, but, like, it was way too long. Like, it shouldn't have been that long. It was a squash.
Yeah.
It was, like, an elaborate squash. Like, it shouldn't have been a commercial break. It was way too long.
They give Frankie Kazarian, like, a new nickname. What happened to the Elite Hunter?
I didn't catch they gave him a new nickname. What's the new nickname now? I didn't see that. I thought he
I
was
don't
still
know.
the Elite Hunter.
I don't think so. They gave him a new nickname. I didn't catch it either because who cares about Frankie Kazarian?
He's a good wrestler though.
Whatever. Yeah, sure. I agree, but like,
I mean, you talk about Riff Raff. He's not Riff Raff.
he kind of is at this point.
He's better than that.
I know he's good, he's solid, but like, there's no reason to care, and I have not had a reason to care about Frankie Kazarian maybe ever. He's always been a solid wrestler, kind of like Trent. You know, Frankie and Trent are very similar. They're solid wrestlers, but they're basically just vanilla. Not much to them. Don't care. Right? You care about anything they've ever done, really? Like, have they done anything of consequence?
Hey, well, that's news. Wow.
Yeah. I'm asking you a question. You're not. All right, forget it. Harold Schneider drops a super chat. He says, "Read on the screen that members will be able to call in after the Rumble. Looking forward to it. Members only. Members only if you want to call in after the Rumble."
Nice. Wow. See, that's
All right.
big news.
All right.
Kaz stuff, like, the problem with Kaz, like, he just doesn't cut a promo. That's the problem. Like, he's just kind of plain when it comes to a promo, but his wrestling is top notch, though.
I mean, his wrestling is good, but this Elite Hunter gimmick that he was doing wasn't working. He always got beat up by the Elite, and now he's like this other thing, and he's getting beat up by Lance Archer. He just comes out, he's a jobber. Like, yeah, he's a solid wrestler, but he's a jobber. When you see him, you're like, oh, he's here to do a job. Especially here, Lance Archer's been gone for a while. He's gearing up for a world title match with Hangman. What's Frankie doing here? Oh, he's here to lose. And that's all he does. He just shows up and jobs. I'm not disagreeing that Frankie Kazarian is a solid wrestler, but no company has ever figured out how to make him interesting. So is that the Booker's fault? Because he's had many different incarnations, many different, Impact, WWE for a brief stint, Ring of Honor. He's been everywhere, and he's always been good, but he's never been a guy where I was like, damn, I got to tune into this, right? I'm not wrong about that, John.
I felt when he was X Division champion TNA, like, he seemed pretty top level there. He had some great matches with AJ Styles at the time.
Okay. It's a long time ago. And I don't know how much you really cared. I'm just saying he's a good wrestler, but as far as like promos and character, I've never really seen it, and AEW does nothing with him. So who cares? Right? That's the thing. It's just there's a limit to what I can care about.
He's always going to have that claim that he was one of the first ever AEW tag champs. That's going to be his claim to fame pretty much in AEW.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't think he's going to do much more than that, but he'll always have that. They'll always mention every time he wrestles, at least.
44 years old,
and
It's like
you're not going to see him every week.
No, I don't need to either. That's fine. He's just kind of he's a good hand for AEW, right? He's just kind of a background character.
It's like Sean Spears, except he's a face.
Yeah. MJF cut a backstage promo with Wardlow. MJF wants Wardlow to win the Revolution ladder match thing so that he could get a title shot and give it to MJF or something. MJF says Sean Spears is going to show the world and Wardlow how to get things done against CM Punk tonight, and of course that didn't work because Punk squashed Wardlow. They even did, not only did MJF do a pre-match promo on this, they had a CM Punk Sean Spears video package that aired before the match. A lot of hype for this match, and then it ended in, like you said, 6 seconds. Punk grabs Spears, turns him around, picks him up, GTS. Not a match, just one move. Go to sleep, 1, 2, 3. MJF watched from the stage. He got all mad. Punk went to celebrate on the corner, just to bait in MJF to the ring. MJF snuck up behind Punk, looked like he was going to attack. Punk knew he was there, turned around, grabbed MJF by the scarf, looked like he was going to punch him, but MJF slipped out of the scarf and escaped. Punk put the scarf on, and that's that. Still no match booked between Punk and MJF. At some point, we're waiting. Not next week, apparently. Not at Beach Break. I don't know when. I feel like there's these kind of big matches looming for AEW that are getting teased, and we're not seeing them. Punk and MJF. When? Jericho and Eddie Kingston. Can we get that over with? Can we do that? Hangman and Lance Archer. When? And then there's other stuff. Revolution in March. Hangman
6th.
and Archer at Revolution? That's not a pay-per-view match. That better not be the match on pay-per-view. They have 4 pay-per-views a year. You expect me to buy Hangman versus Archer for the world title on pay-per-view? Get the fuck out of here. Who wants to see Archer in the world title picture? He's not going to win. He's not believable. No one cares. No one cares. If that's the pay-per-view match, they're shit out of luck. Like, god damn, that better not be the pay-per-view match, because that's a TV match. That's a way for Hangman to win and look convincing and, beat a guy who he didn't go to an hour draw with the week prior. Right? Just beat a guy legitimately like Lance Archer, a big, strong guy who's scary. Beat him on TV. Don't push it to the pay-per-view, because no one in their right mind believes that Archer will win the AEW world title. So why the hell would you give him a pay-per-view match? The pay-per-view match is Bryan Danielson and Hangman because you believe that Bryan could beat him. And if it's not the pay-per-view match, they fucked up. It can't be Archer. Archer on pay-per-view against Hangman? Fucking count me out. I don't want to see that. You don't want to see that either, John. Don't bullshit me. That's a bullshit pay-per-view match. That's not good enough for pay-per-view.
What I want to see or not, but that's what it's going towards right here. I mean, they're building Archer up for that match.
No way.
If he's not wrestling on their next special event next week, they probably have one more in February and then the pay-per-view. So, unless Bryan Danielson is going to make an amazing comeback anytime soon, I don't see any other title match for Archer. For Hangman.
Weak. That's terribly weak.
Well, let's face it. I think Punk MJF's really going to sell that paper.
Yeah. Okay. That's a big match. Is that it?
And
is that all
Jericho
they have?
Kingston probably going to happen too.
That's not really. I think Jericho should turn heel off of that. Jericho backstage with Santana and Ortiz. They talk about Eddie Kingston being injured, and Jericho says, I don't care about Eddie Kingston, whatever. And then Ortiz says, hey, be careful, we care about Eddie Kingston, so watch out what you say about him. You may not care, but we do. We like him. And Santana wants to know, when Jericho has had their backs, because it's always about us having your back, Jericho, and what about you having our back? And Jericho's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And then Santana's like, look, we're going to go and figure it out, and next week we're going to show you how we can win on our own, because it's going to be us 3 against Daniel Garcia and 2.0. And Santana's like, you feel me? And Jericho's like, yeah, I feel you. Like, Jericho kind of mocking Santana for using that term, which was a little, weird. A little heelish on Jericho, I think, kind of being left alone. I think in the end of this, the Inner Circle will break up, and they will realize that they've all been just back up for Jericho, and he has been, using them to keep the spotlight on him. And Jericho is the reason that Santana and Ortiz are not tag team champions or have not been in the title picture. Because Santana and Ortiz are a very solid tag team. And since they've been in Inner Circle, they've just basically been backup for Chris Jericho in those multi-man matches and whatever, right? They're just kind of Jericho's goons, like Hager, and Sammy Guevara has managed to kind of break out because he's done stuff alone. But if you stand behind Jericho when he's getting interviewed by Alex Marvez, you're just a goon. Hager, Santana, Ortiz, they've been turned into goons. And given the state of the AEW tag team division right now with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus as champions, tag team titles really could go to anybody. I mean, for a while they had legitimate tag teams as the champions. They had SCU, they had Kenny and Hangman, they had the Bucks, they had FTR. But now they got the Jungle Boy and the Big Dinosaur Man, and their tag team division has gone to shit at this point with those guys as champions. They're fucking awful. Riff-raff. Santana and Ortiz could easily be tag team champions. I see those guys, I'm like, oh, man, they'd be good tag team champions. I see Brody King and Malachi Black, and I say, damn, they'd be good tag team champions. I see Sting and Darby Allin as they're a team, you know. I think, yeah, maybe they could be tag team champions. The Acclaimed, you know. A lot of teams in AEW that I would prefer over Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Blah.
Yeah, well, that's what kind of makes them a good tag team in a sense, because they're the underdog team. You think they're always going to lose, so every match is kind of exciting in a sense, because you kind of want them to lose as well.
But don't be telling me that's what makes them a good tag team. You know what makes them a bad tag team? They're wrestling. How about that?
Well, Jungle Boy's not bad.
He's not great.
I wouldn't say I've seen like a bad Jungle Boy match, like maybe tag matches, but single matches, like he's usually pretty strong.
All right, Jungle Boy's not bad. However,
yeah, Luchasaurus not exactly the best.
He can't get through a match without fucking something up. He's a mess. He wasn't on the show tonight, thankfully. My God.
To be fair, those
and Jungle Boy has no charisma. He's a charisma vacuum. What are you talking about? Yeah, he can do some moves, but there's no feeling behind it. I don't care about Jungle Boy. I don't root for him. I don't root against him. I don't really want to see him. I got no feeling for him. I see him, I'm like, nah. Do you care about Jungle Boy? You don't, right? No one cares about this guy.
I think he's a good wrestler. I see a lot of potential in him. I think being with Christian is going to help him a lot. It's a lot like how AJ Styles, like he kind of was like a void of personality, and then he was with Christian, and suddenly he became a character.
No, but AJ Styles was a million times the wrestler that Jungle Boy was. Still is, always will be. Like, okay, right. Yeah, he's a semi-decent wrestler with no charisma. Don't compare him to AJ Styles, who's like one of the best wrestlers ever, who had no charisma at one time, but now is like oozing charisma. Get out of here.
Well, don't compare the two. Just a little bit.
It still won't help.
Like that's all you got to do.
Who's going to teach him to wrestle?
I think Christian can help him with that too a little bit.
Oh, jeez, I mean, Christian has got to do a lot here. Making Christian very responsible for all this bullshit in AEW that he shouldn't be responsible for. He's busy getting beat up by Billy Gunn's children. Billy Gunn, they tell us that Billy Gunn has commandeered a backstage camera, which like,
he kind of did.
Yeah, he's like, come here. What? Why can't he just like do a promo? Why can't a camera be on him? Why does he have to like hijack a cameraman? How did he do that exactly? With threats? Anyways, he's commandeered a backstage camera, and he's there in the parking lot waiting for Christian, and he wants to get a tag team title shot for his boys, his sons, and he's like, maybe you could get a title shot from your boys. Does Billy Gunn think Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are Christian's sons? Does Billy Gunn just think everybody has sons that are a tag team in AEW like him? He's like, I want my boys to get a tag team title shot from your boys. And Christian's like, yeah, when the lights shine brightest, Billy, you can never get a big win, and your sons need a statement win, and maybe call me when they do that. And he kind of walks away, dismisses Billy and his kids, and then Billy's sons beat up Christian. So I guess it'll be the Gun Boys against the Lucha Jurassic Party. Whatever. Another match I don't need to see. Hey, wasn't FTR supposed to wrestle Arn Anderson's son tonight? And then the other guy?
Yeah, but I think someone got COVID more than likely.
Oh, yeah? That was supposed to happen tonight, right? It was supposed to be FTR. They did that promo last week with Tully and Arn. Remember when FTR was like, oh, drop your son. He's terrible. I was like, yeah, drop your son.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Arn's son and Lee Johnson?
I believe so, yeah.
That match shouldn't happen. That match should not happen tonight. I just remembered talking about Billy's son, so I was like, oh, yeah, wasn't Arn's son supposed to wrestle tonight? I'm not mad that didn't happen. That was going to be terrible, too. God damn, this was The promos were good. Moxley's promo was good. Cody's promo was good.
Cody was the best part of the show.
Yeah. But everything else here, man, ooh, tough. Tough to watch.
Yeah, I tell you, it kind of feels like it's the same thing week in, week out. I mean, the only saving grace is that next week you actually get a big show.
Yeah, I think next week will be a lot better. This week was like an off week. It felt like, remember those Saturday night Dynamites where nothing happened and you're kind of like, why are they even doing this?
Well, because of the Cody thing, it felt a little bit more than that. But yeah, if you take away the Cody thing, then yes.
It felt lackluster. It felt like a lackluster Dynamite that no effort was put into. Adam Cole and Britt Baker opened the show as far as matches. They were the first match on the card after a bunch of promos. They start the match. Britt tags out to Adam Cole. Britt's like, oh, I'm going to face off with Statlander. And then she's like, oh, I'm a coward. I'm going to tag out to Cole. And then Cole is like, oh, I'm going to face off with Orange. And then he cowards out and tags out to Britt, who then goes face-to-face with Orange. And, of course, Orange is supposed to leave the ring because he's not supposed to tag a woman. But instead, he does his baby kicks on Britt. And then Britt stomps his foot. And they went on from there. Statlander did a vertical suplex at one point, kind of held Britt up in the air. Was the grip off on that? Like, it was impressive. She's strong and all, but like it looked like Britt was not in the right spot for that suplex. It was weird.
She looked heavy, by the way it looked, but it didn't seem like Statlander had too much difficulty getting her up. It's just to keep her there because it seemed like, I don't know if the jump was right or not.
Yeah.
It seemed something like something was off, but she was strong enough to compensate, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was, impressive strength from Statlander. Britt hit the Panama Sunrise outside the ring, and then Cole hit the same move inside the ring on Orange for a 2 count only. I thought that was his finisher, but apparently not. Orange kicked out. His finisher is the running knee to the back of the head, right?
Yeah.
Britt is on the apron. She set up a table outside the ring. She got bumped off the apron accidentally by Orange Cassidy and went through the table.
Too much.
Too much?
Wasn't needed. I mean, it felt like a waste of a table bump, especially if you're doing a table bump in the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have that done, that was too much. Wasn't needed. You just have to bump off the apron. That's all you need. And she's hurt.
Yeah. They had to do the table too. That's right, 2 table spots in this show. They did the table too. Britt goes through the table. Orange is distracted from the terrible thing that he's done. Adam Cole hits a low blow on Orange, then hits his running knee to the back of the head for the win. And then Cole goes and sees if Britt's okay after he wins the match for their team. And that's kind of how it started. When you start with this, it's like, okay. I mean, this wasn't terrible. I didn't hate this match. It had some moments, but it wasn't a classic match by any stretch, right?
Well, I thought it was just messy as hell. Like, so many times they're in the ring just doing nothing. The ref's like counting them out, telling them, hey, you have to get out, you have to get out. They don't get out. Then they just stay on the outside forever as well. So, I mean, yeah, they had some good spots, but a lot of the match didn't make any sense. They did the whole, behind the referee's back, we'll have the guy hit the girl and vice versa. But then, they had Adam Cole, I think he took, a 450 from Statlander and right in front of the ref. Oh, well, no DQ for that. That's fine. It was just a complete mess, that match. I mean, yeah, there were some good spots. The crowd was into it. The crowd cared for it.
That's it.
But I wasn't a fan of it.
I feel like this match maybe had the crowd more than any other match. It was a vibe for this one.
Well, it helps when it's the opener, right? Too. The crowd would just eat up anything. But it had some good moments. It just, to me, it just didn't make any sense.
Cole and Baker get the win over Orange and Statlander. The match, was fine. You say it didn't make sense. What didn't make sense to me was Adam Cole's promo later on. I thought we were done. We're not done. Cole talks about Britt Baker and how she went through the table and he wants revenge on Orange Cassidy, even though he did just punch him in the penis and hit him in the knee in the back of the head and beat him 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. How much more revenge can you get? Like, okay, put your girlfriend through a table accidentally, but then you punched him in the balls and you kneed him in the back of the head, possibly concussing him because he was unconscious enough to lie down for a 3 count. Isn't that revenge? But no, it's not revenge. Cole wants more. He wants a match with Orange at Beach Break next week on Dynamite. Not just any kind of match. A no DQ lights out match with Orange. When I said not just any kind of match, I was about to say sick bestiality sex. That's another thing. Remember when Kurt Angle said that to Booker T? How could you forget? We all remember that. Booker T, I want to have sex with your wife. And not just on any kind of sex. Sick bestiality sex. Straight from Vince. That was a Vince line that Kurt had to repeat. You don't remember that? That was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. Because he said he was going to have bestiality sex with Sharmell. And I was like, Sharmell's a human. What are you trying to say? And just the bluntness, he's like, Booker T, I want to have sex with your wife. He wasn't like, he didn't beat around the bush at all. Don't tiptoe. Booker T, I want to have sex with your wife. Not just any kind of sex.
I didn't forget that. I remember watching SmackDown thinking it wasn't a very good show. And then suddenly that promo happened. I'm like, what the heck did I just see?
Oh, it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Not just any kind of sex. Sick. Bestiality sex. Bestiality sex. Oh. Adam Cole. No, I'm not going to. All right. Dental sex. All right. Cody Rhodes. In-ring promo. Let's get to it. This is the highlight of the show. A lot to unpack in this promo. A lot. Cody said a lot about a lot of people and a lot of different things.
This is a pipe bomb.
Yeah, why was he doing this? What brought this on? Cody Rhodes cuts a promo in the ring with a ladder behind him, crowds booing him, and he turned them around. All these marks booing Cody because it's the thing to do. Cody's one of the most talented guys in professional wrestling. In the ring, on the microphone, he's got it all. He's in his physical prime. I don't understand why the crowd hates him so much, but he was definitely the highlight of the show tonight. Cody talked about CM Punk's pipe bomb promo and how it changed the wrestling business forever and started a revolution that he was inspired by. Cody says somebody told him to save this promo, but he won't know if he'll get the chance, so he's going to do it now. A lot of talk around Cody Rhodes this week, having not signed a new contract with AEW. People are wondering, is he leaving? Is he going to be in the Royal Rumble? And I think, what? Who are these people that are thinking that? I'm seeing, like, Dave Meltzer is like, Cody's not going to be in the Rumble. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. He wrestles for AEW. He's an EVP. What the fuck? What? No shit. The fans chanted Royal Rumble, too, at one point during a promo, and Cody looked at him like, huh? What are you talking about?
Right. Because rumors. Because everyone believes every rumor, so that's why.
Who are these people that believe that one? How does that get started, and how does that get bought into by marks? Who are these marks that are like, oh, Cody's going to be in the Rumble? No, he fucking isn't. Check yourself. What the fuck is wrong with people? Insane. Insane.
Yeah,
Cody says Punk's comeback has been the comeback of the decade, and we're all loving it and experiencing it. And he says, Punk was gone for a while, and he talked about, before he left, he talked about teaming with the Bucks and doing all these things. And while Punk was gone, Cody was the one who did all the things Punk talked about, and Cody built the Forbidden Door before there was one. And Cody says if you're a wrestling journalist, you can't disagree with what he's saying, and if you do, you can't call yourself a journalist. What was that?
That was a shot on, I guess people criticizing him pretty much.
Wrestling journalist criticizing him?
Yeah,
Who's
I think
doing
so.
that? I don't know who he's talking about.
Oh, I don't know the ones in particular, but I imagine there's probably some that he's probably thinking about
I'm
that
loving
inspired
Cody.
that.
I'm loving Cody right now.
He was shooting on everything if you think about it. Like he took
Everything.
shots at like wrestling media. He took shots at WWE later on as well.
Yeah. Cody says last week he saw the Bucks start feuding with Red Dragon, and he's like, look, they may have graduated hip toss school, but I don't need to see the Bucks beat the developmental talent again. Bucks starting a Wednesday Night Wars again last week. Cody just taking a shot at Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, saying these guys are developmental, they're jabronis. Come on, Bucks, you're better than that. What was that?
Well, they are heels, so why not?
The Bucks are heels?
Think,
Or are O'Reilly and Fish heels? I think they're... And isn't Cody a heel? Isn't everybody a heel in this situation, John?
well, Cody's a face,
Is he?
and that's
Sammy's
his
a
friends.
face. He's feuding with Sammy Guevara, who's a fellow babyface. So Cody can't be a straight-up face. I'd give him a tweener if you want. We can say he's an in-betweener type of guy, but the booze, feuding with a babyface, Cody's a heel.
He got the crowd cheering him at the end of it. He got them to turn around.
So he's a tweener. But you can't say he's a straight-up babyface, right?
He said he's not going to turn heel, though.
Okay. But you know that there's a place in between. Purgatory, my friend.
Yeah, but there's how we look at him, how he perceives it. He sees himself still as that good guy.
Yeah. However, the character's definitely got an edge to it now. Cody talked about Ricky Starks and Jay Lethal, and he says, watch out for Lethal's cutter because nobody kicks out of it. Cody feuded with Jay Lethal for a while, but why is he talking about Ricky Starks? He's like, my real friend, Ricky Starks. We're really friends, and what was that?
I think that was just to give it more of like a shoot effect kind of thing. Because, like, you don't see them ever really interact, except that one match they had. I think that was his first match, was Ricky Starks.
Okay.
When he came to AEW. So I think that was just more to make it seem like a shoot kind of promo, and they weren't on the show at all, right? So it was to actually give them a spot on the show, was him just name dropping them.
Ricky was on the show, Ricky Starks. He did a promo with Willie Hobbs.
Yeah, he did a promo with him, but like they did nothing in the ring, though.
Whatever happened to Jay Lethal? Does he exist?
He was on Rampage.
He was?
Yeah, he confronted Starks on commentary. We weren't really paying attention because we were watching, we were talking about SmackDown at the same time.
I mean, Jay Lethal, has anybody come into AEW who's like had a name from another company and had less of an impact than Jay Lethal?
I mean, if you look at people from Dark, I'm sure there's quite a few names. I mean, Tony Nese, I guess.
Jay Lethal was a Ring of Honor world champion for a while. Jay Lethal's been a name in the business. Like Tony Nese, I mean, he's like a 205 Live guy. Okay. He's had no impact in the company. Okay. But for the level of star that Jay Lethal is and the amount of impact he's had in this company, like, come on. He's basically not existed. Right? Which is fine. Whatever. I don't care. I mean, it's not like I'm some big Jay Lethal fan. I need to see him every week. So whatever. I'm just saying he showed up and nothing. Cody talks about Malachi Black, and he says AEW doesn't change names like Gunner McGillicuddy or whatever, which I thought was a good shot there. Because that's very topical and very right now, and it's what people are talking about. WWE NXT changed Walter's name to Gunther or something. And apparently the
Stark,
name...
They dropped the Stark.
They dropped the Starks. It was like Gunther Starks was his name. And then if you Googled the name Gunther Starks, it was like some Nazi guy who like killed a bunch of people. You know, Jews probably.
So now it's just one name.
Yeah, so now he's just Gunther. But like, why can't he just be Walter? He's been Walter for years in WWE, and now he's like, I'm Gunther. And it's like, what do you mean you're Gunther? Are you selling coffee to the friends on Friends? That's Gunther. Not you, right? You know what I'm talking about? The guy on Friends, the coffee shop guy?
I know what you're talking about.
I think that guy's name was Gunther. And that's who they turned Walter into, a He's a goddamn coffee man. Gunther.
But you know what it is, though.
Yeah, it's like, well, he's been Walter in other places, and we'll probably fire him at some point, so we don't want him to be called Walter anywhere else. So let's call him Gunther, because that's going to be his real WWE name. It's like, bitch, he's been in WWE for years. We all know he's Walter. You've been promoting him as Walter. I got a fucking action figure with WWE on it that says fucking Walter on it. Doesn't say Gunther.
Yeah, but he's pretty much been NXT UK.
So,
and now that they finally brought him to NXT, he's probably going to go to Raw or Smackdown eventually, become a bigger star. And now they realize he's become a bigger deal, so now they have to pretty much have that name to themselves, pretty much.
It's dumb though, right? And like
I
WWE,
mean, it's the same thing.
They're the
with Braun
only
Breaker.
They're the only company in the world that when they sign you, for the most part, I mean, sometimes they change your name like 3 years after they sign you, but mostly WWE, when they sign you, when you're hired, they are preparing for the day that they fire you. That's what the name change is about. When they hire you, they are preparing for the day when they fire you. So they give you a WWE name, so when they promote you in WWE, you can't go somewhere else and use that WWE name because they assume at some point you're going to go somewhere else. Why hire them then?
Yeah.
Why hire anybody if you assume they're going to be fired at some point? Why? Like, this is how they operate. They're like, well, we're not going to give you your real name because you could use that somewhere else. So we're just going to give you a shitty name here, like Braun Breaker, and push you as that. And, when we fire you in a few years, like, Could we stop with the alliteration in WWE, please? Roman Reigns, Braun Breaker. I mean, there's so much. Everybody's name has got to have the same letter, first name and last name. Get the fuck out of here. Nobody has these names in real life. These don't sound like real life names. You remember when they had the Berserker and all sorts of funny names, Undertaker, all sorts of names that they called guys. And then they're like, we got to go reality-based, pal. Steve Austin and The Rock and, Val Venus. We need names like that, pal. They went from reality names to just like these cartoon, like, names that could either be like, wrestlers or porn stars. It's like not clear who you are. These stupid-ass names. Like Roman Reigns and Gunther and Braun Breaker. You know anybody whose last name is Breaker?
No, but
no.
Apparently he came up with that name. So
or even Reigns.
That's what he wanted.
Reigns. Is that a last name for anybody in real life? Because
in the US, I would be surprised.
I don't know. WWE is called two guys that. Luther Reigns and Roman Reigns. I've never met anybody with the last name Reigns, but maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know anybody. I don't think that's a real last name. All right? I think it's a fake last name. I think there's a lot of stupid names in WWE, and Cody talked about it. But WWE changed Walter's name to Gunner. Or Gunther. Cody says...
I believe... Pronounced like Gunner?
Gunther.
Yeah.
Gunther.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That's good. German is great. We all love the Germans, right? Hey. I think, bygones, right? Cody says... AJ, you fucker. Fuck you, AJ. Tim Reigns... Raines. AJ doesn't know how to spell shit or pronounce shit. He probably pronounces that Tim Raines. Fucking AJ.
I think it was a joke. I think it was a joke.
No, it wasn't a joke. It wasn't a joke. He meant it. I know AJ. It's not a joke. He's a silly goose. Goddamn. Rihanna's. Tim. What did he call Rihanna? Halle Berry was Hale Berry. Fucking guy mispronounces everything. Fucking
That's pretty good, though.
Dana White. He fucking can't pronounce shit. It's like a mental thing. I don't know what's going on. Tim Reigns. Yeah, but that's a different spelling of Reigns. Fucking AJ.
It's pretty funny.
I'm not laughing. See me laughing? Anyways, Cody talks about how AEW doesn't change names like, other companies. He says anyone coming into AEW, though, calling themselves Brody takes a lot of balls. And in 8 years, when little Brody shows up, Brody King is going to learn his lesson. So he talked about Malachi Black and his new friend. And then he finally talked about his match with Sammy Guevara. He says Tony Khan sent him a contract. Maybe not the contract he wanted, so still teasing that maybe he's not signed to AEW, which, yeah, all right. That's what I think about that.
Gassy.
Cody climbs the ladder and he challenges Sammy to a ladder match for the TNT title next week at Beach Break. Sammy accepted the match. When they were in picture, he did one of those promos with the cue cards, and he accepted the match, and he said, the old Sammy's gone, and this is new Sammy, and I'm going to get you next week. I think the match will be real good.
I mean, they always have good matches when you think about it, so no reason why a ladder match can't be pretty good, too.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. I think it'll be very good. I'm looking forward to it.
Probably the main event.
Bryan Danielson tweeted tonight.
About his wife?
No, why?
Because isn't his wife doing some sort of show besides, like, the Rumble? Like, she's going to do some sort of other side project?
I don't know. I don't follow what the Bella Twins are doing. They're always doing something.
What did Bryan talk about?
I'll show you. I will show you. And you will thank me for showing you the words of Bryan Danielson, which makes me wonder about the future of Bryan Danielson and Sammy Guevara, maybe, because here's Bryan. Even Sammy's penmanship sucks. I hope Cody Rhodes throws him off the ladder next week. That's all we heard. Yeah. So maybe Sammy wins and Bryan feuds with Sammy going forward? Or Sammy loses and Bryan feuds with Sammy going forward? Even worse. Whew.
I mean, I think it'd be some good matches, so got no problem with that.
Yeah. But
you think about it too, he needs a bounce back too, Bryan, like, so, and you need him to get a win, so I think that's a good idea.
Super chat. Okay. What if Sammy wins, though, and he's a TNT champion? Like, should Bryan beat Sammy and become TNT champion? Because if he does that, kind of takes him out of the world title picture.
Right. Yeah, hopefully Sammy doesn't win.
Yeah.
I'd keep Cody as champion. I think Cody's better as champion, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Cody probably retains. Doug dropping a super chat. He says, Dave, I don't totally agree tonight, but you are uncensored 100. Hey, Johnny, great job, guys. Thank you, Doug. You're the super chat leader right now. I don't know what he's not agreeing with. I think he liked the show a little bit more than we did. I did not really like this show. There was just a lot of weird stuff on this show that I did not enjoy. The Cody promo was by far the highlight. By far.
Cody was the best part, no question.
Malachi Black and Brody King against the Varsity Blondes, like, I thought the match was pretty good. That might be my match of the night. Malachi Black
very short too, though.
Yeah, but they look really good as a tag team. They kind of look the same. They have nice double team moves. They're a good team.
The finish was a little quonky, but
it was kind of a cool move. I liked it.
Yeah, it looked like he just caught him in the air. Like, it looked like he almost didn't catch him in the air.
So, but he did catch him. Caught him, put him down. Yeah. I thought the match was pretty good. I liked seeing Malachi Black and Brody King as a tag team, and I thought, oh, cool, maybe they'll be a tag team. But then after the match, Malachi starts talking, and then Pac interrupted with a pre-taped promo on the video screen. Obviously pre-taped. Says he's going to make...
UK.
Yeah. But, you know, when there's a live guy in the ring and he's being interrupted by a guy that's supposedly, you know, live too, but it's obviously not live, it's kind of weak, right? Looked weird. And then Malachi doesn't even say anything in response. He can't respond because Pac's taped. It's a taped message. So I see a tag team that I'm like, oh, this is cool. They got some potential. And then it's like back into a feud that I don't care about between two guys that just have there's no heat. There's no heat.
Well, there's actually a lot of heat. Actually took out both his eyes. So.
Yeah, but do you give a shit?
I want to see the match, to be honest. Yeah, because those two good wrestlers. I want to see go at it.
Do you give a shit about the story that they're trying to tell? Okay, they're good wrestlers and the match will be good, and sure. But this story that they're spending time telling about how Pac was blinded by the mist. Stupid.
He's got to get his comeuppance. You can't let this injustice, like, last. It's got to stop. Him blinding people. Pac's got to put an end to it.
I'm just going to let that sit there like it is, John. I mean, come on. What do you mean? Like, this injustice cannot stand. Pac's got to get his revenge. All right. Fine. I mean, the match will be good, but, you know, the shit time that we're fucking wasting on this fucking, I'm blinded by the mist. You spat some shit. It's fine in your mouth. You spit it in eyes, and it's like blinding. Find me a liquid that does that. I defy you to find me a liquid that's fine in your mouth, but if you spit it at a guy, it'll blind him for weeks. This happened fucking months ago to Pac, but because of COVID restrictions, he's stuck in England, so they're dragging this bullshit out, and I'm supposed to swallow it like it's fucking entertaining? Get the fuck out of here. Come on, man. You're not entertained by this. This is dragging. It's taking forever. And the reason it's taking forever is because of COVID restrictions. Pac's not blind. Imagine if I sip Coca-Cola and it's like, fine, I spit it out in your eyes. You're blinded for months. Also, how is Pac supposed to wrestle this match with Malachi if he can't see him? Why would he want this match? Is he an idiot?
Because you saw at the end, he took the blindfold off. He's okay now.
Oh, okay. So why is he wearing a blindfold the whole time during a promo? For dramatic effect? If you were really blinded, would you wear the thing for dramatic effect, or would you take the blindfold off and go, hey, I'm all right now. You're in trouble. Still wearing the blinded blindfold. Get the fuck out of here. AJ saying vinegar and hairspray. I don't think you're going to blind somebody if you spit vinegar mixed with saliva in their eyes. Also, you want to put hairspray in your mouth? I don't think that's going to work out too well for you.
I don't recommend any of this stuff whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Please don't do this.
AJ's like, hairspray, safe in your mouth. AJ, why don't you go chug some hairspray and call me and let me know how you feel, okay? Go chug vinegar and hairspray and see how you feel. Vinegar, okay. Hairspray? Good luck. Good luck to you. It's AJ's drink of choice, apparently, when he hangs out in the park.
Well, we learn something new every day, I guess. Wow.
No, we don't. I learned nothing on the show tonight. On Dynamite tonight, learned jack shit. Except that Lance Archer is the modern-day Yokozuna because he needs two managers. Two managers. Yoko had Fuji. Yoko had Fuji and Cornette. Archer has Roberts and Lambert.
Yeah, but Jake disappeared, though. Like, he only had Lambert at the end.
Did Jake come out with him?
I thought he did, but yeah. I don't think he stayed at ringside. I think he just came out, and they went right back.
What the fuck is this? Like, again, this is so much shit on this show. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What are they doing here? Jake Roberts has been gone for months. Lance Archer comes back last week. COVID. Okay, fine. Sure, fine. That's fine. But Lance Archer comes back next week without Jake Roberts. Last week he comes back, no Jake. This week he's got Jake and Dan Lambert. Even though he seemed to kind of rough up Lambert last week, I guess it was all a ruse because he's with Lambert now. They do a backstage pre-tape promo. Jake Roberts does all the talking. Lance doesn't talk. Dan Lambert just kind of stands there looking like a little punk. Like, oh, I'll let the real wrestler do the promo, and I'm just going to stand here. And then Lance Archer beats Frankie Kazarian after the blackout in a, solid match. Fine. That might have been match of the night. I can't give a match of the night. John's saying it's the main event, but I disagree. I thought that was a dumb match. Because in no world can a 62-year-old man like Sting beat up two young men like Anthony Bowens and Max Caster on his own. It doesn't make any sense. And that's where you lost me. Dan Lambert cuts the promo after the match for Lance Archer. And he just went into his whole thing and talked about Hangman. Hangman never played outside and drank from a hose. He stayed inside and played video games. Okay.
Hangman seemed very offended, though, that they kept bringing it up, though, in his promo.
Did he? Did he seem offended?
It seemed like it.
I don't know. He didn't seem to care. Lance Archer says, enough of this cowboy bullshit, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And he throws a chair on the stage and goes to chokeslam Kazarian on it, and Hangman comes out and faces off with Archer on the stage, smacks Archer. They traded some shots. Hangman went down. Then Hangman hit Archer with his cowboy boot, went for the buckshot lariat, got blocked. Hangman fought back, though, clothesline Archer over the top rope, and that's how they ended their segment. Lambert says, Hangman never jacked off a cow to make soy milk. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Soy milk and Starbucks and jacking off cows and all sorts of weird shit. I was like, all right, Lambert. You don't think he's a cowboy. You think he's soft. He plays video games instead of playing outside. So does most of American Top Team. Like, I don't know, man. Have you checked your pro fighters lately? Like, yeah, they train, but what do you think they're doing after they're training? They're playing video games. Like, it's a generational thing. You think those guys are soft? You think Demetrius Johnson is soft? I was watching UFC Embedded for the Cyril Gann-Francis Ngannou fight this Saturday. Cyril Gann, Fight Week, is playing FIFA video games with, like, friends, and he's got a headset, and he's talking, and apparently his team is ranked 64th in the world, he's telling Embedded. You think Cyril Gann, the heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC, is soft because he plays video games, Dan Lambert? It's just some of the shit he's saying. It's just like, all right, you just sound old and out of touch and a little bit confused because, yeah, I get it. Video games, you think it's like the nerd thing, but really everybody plays video games at this point. And the fact that you don't, Dan, makes you seem like super old and confused, Because everybody that's, under 50, I'd say, probably plays video games. Johnny plays games. I play games. Hangman plays games. Cyril Gann plays games. Everybody's playing video games. There's nothing wrong with it, Dan Lambert. It's not just for the nerds in their mother's basements anymore. Grown men with children are playing video games, and it's fine. And we're also doing martial arts, and we're doing all sorts of things, Dan Lambert. But he's going to do this, these guys are nerds, and I'm the only one who's, I don't know. It seemed like stale. Like this Lambert, when he's cutting promos on Cody, it's a little bit more fun. But this Hangman stuff, he just doesn't have enough in his arsenal. Oh, Hangman is not a real cowboy. I respect his wrestling, and he's really good, and he's awesome, man, but he's not a cowboy. Cowboys are like this. Are you a cowboy, Dan Lambert? No, but I've seen some movies. I don't know. I thought Lambert's promo tonight was maybe the worst one he's ever done.
I mean, it's not great when he's kind of just the side guy. I find he's got to be the main attraction pretty much for his promos to work. When he's just kind of like the extra, when Archer does one, when Jake does one, like I find he's just kind of throwing in little things here and there, but he doesn't really get his full opinion across pretty much, I find.
Yeah. It was not great. And we still don't know when the Hangman Archer match will happen. We know Jade Cargill will wrestle Anna Jay for the TBS title this coming Friday on Rampage. Jade Cargill with her manager Mark Sterling and Anna Jay with her manager Johnny Hungy did a backstage promo all together for some reason. Anna has accepted...
Put him on the show. Should be happy.
No. because he's Anna Jay's manager. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous.
I'm not going to say I agree with it, but it got him on the show. It's an excuse to put him on the show.
Yeah, well, they need to find better excuses to put him on the show. Johnny talks about Anna beating Jade and Anna Hungy, and Anna accepted Jade's open challenge. That's why she's not number one contender, John. It was an open challenge that Anna accepted.
Well, she's number one ranked.
Whatever. Anyways, Anna said a couple things. Jade said it's that bitch show, and that was the promo. I don't like when people that are supposed to wrestle each other and seem to have animosity cut backstage promos together with no consequences and no, reason to not fight right there. And then they don't fight right there. They just talk. Huh?
Yeah. I didn't like the whole, they're talking to each other and then they end the promo, talking to the camera.
Yeah.
That felt kind of awkward.
It's bizarre.
I don't get that, but that's a technical thing. That's something they can just figure out themselves, the way they film stuff. But that's a little thing. That's not a big thing.
And that's why tonight's show was weird. Like Angelo says, looks like Dynamite put you to sleep, Dave. It's not like Dynamite put me to sleep. It's that there were so many little things on this show that made me go, huh? And you got that too, John.
What?
You got that too. There was a lot of shit on this show, like little things, minor things, but when they add up over 2 hours, you just go, what the fuck was this? What happened?
One more thing, though. It's weird how the rankings work, because I think Thunder Rosa's actually won, but Anna Jay has a better record. It's very weird how it works, but yeah, I think that's how it is. But she's still one of the top ranks. And I think they've shown, too, as long as you're top 5, you can get a title shot.
You are the only one that cares about these rankings. No one else
There's rules
paid attention.
to this. There's rules.
Yeah, they don't really matter, though. Dante Martin got an interview, backstage interview, with Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty. Lee Moriarty got talking time on TV.
I haven't seen him since he lost to Punk, I think.
What? That's the thing. Why was I watching Lee Moriarty speak on television? This is supposed to be their A show. So many things like that make me go, huh? Why are you doing this? Why? There's so much shit that I go, what the fuck, right? Moxley starts the show. He says, fuck, as soon as he starts his promo. I go, okay. Britt Baker and Adam Cole have this weirdo match with Orange and Chris Statlander. I'm willing to accept that. Jericho comes off like an asshole to Santana and Ortiz. Why did that happen? Why is Jericho turning heel here? What's happening there? That's even acceptable. Adam Cole needs revenge on Orange Cassidy after punching him in the dick and hitting him in the back of the head with a knee. Huh? He's really mad even though he just beat him in a match. Punk beat Shawn Spears in 6 seconds. That was one of the few things that makes sense because CM Punk is the only guy on this show where you watch him and you're like, yeah, it seems about right. Right? Punk hasn't done too much on AEW where you go, what the fuck is he doing? All the MJF stuff has made sense. It's all made sense. Then Billy Gunn commandeers a backstage camera, and I go, what do you mean he commandeered a backstage camera? And then he sets up a match for his sons against the Jungle Boys, and I'm like, can't I just watch Billy versus Christian one-on-one? So just every segment, there's something I go, huh? Cody's promo was good. No problem there. Fine. Jade Cargill with her manager and Anna Jay's manager being Johnny Hungy, I go, huh? Malachi Black and Brody King, they had a match. They beat the Varsity Blondes. Fine. But then after the match, we have this Pac promo, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess Malachi isn't a tag team wrestler. He's still a singles wrestler doing this feud with this guy that no one's seen in months who's blinded by spit. Huh? Then
I'll debate the tag thing because he's got Penta, right? Because Phoenix is out, so I think there will be a tag team match. Playa.
And then Lance Archer's got 2 managers, and Jake Roberts shows up, and then Dan Lambert, Jake does the pre-match, pre-tape promo, and then Lambert does the post-match in-ring promo, and I go, huh? Brandon Cutler's backstage doing camera work, and it seems like it should be a Young Bucks promo, but the Bucks aren't there for some reason. And Rocky Romero and Trent are there instead, and they say how they beat the Bucks in Tokyo for the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles years ago, and they want to bring back Roppongi Vice, and they challenge the Bucks to a match on Rampage, which will happen. But where were the Bucks? Why is Brandon set up with a camera and the Bucks never show up? Where were they? Another thing that made me go, huh? Lance Archer beating Frankie Kazarian, fine. I mean, I don't care about Frankie, and I know he's a jobber, but the match was fine, and it is what it is. No problem there. But then Dan Lambert's promo afterwards, just kind of like, all right. And Dante Martin gets to talk backstage. I go, huh? Like every fucking thing goes on this show. I'm like, what is this? Dante Martin talking? No. No, thank you. And then, after Dante Martin did a promo, who do we see backstage? Chris Statlander and Red Velvet. Because we all give a shit about these two. And Layla Hirsch, who's blaming Statlander for their loss on Rampage in a 6-woman tag. And Layla Hirsch says Statlander cost her thousands of dollars. And Red's like, hey, we're a team. Layla Hirsch, stop being mean. And Layla's like, and I'm like, you're a team? Do they have 6-woman tag team championships in AEW? Is this a division in AEW that I'm unaware of? Women's trios teams? What do you mean you're a team? You teamed like a couple times on Dark, then you ran this angle on Rampage to turn Layla heel and try to build something between Layla and Chris Statlander. And, oh, hey, if you're not excited about Layla and Chris Statlander, get ready for the warm-up to that. Layla versus Red Velvet. Get the fuck...
Which is
and then
Rampage,
Layla...
right?
Whatever. Layla tells Red Velvet to shut up, and then she attacks her. And then Layla attacks Statlander, too, and puts her in an armbar. They're spending time on this angle that no one cares about. No one cares. And then you have another heel that no one gives a shit about. Why are they building heels when they have 2 champions that are heels in their women's division? Stupid-ass AEW. You got no baby faces that are worth a shit in this company. And you just keep building up more heels. What do we need to challenge Jade Cargill and Britt Baker? How about some heels like Layla Hirsch? Chris Statlander's been jobbed out. We can't use her anymore. Red Velvet's a complete joke. I mean, come on. So let's build Layla Hirsch as a heel to, I don't know, feud with Riho, I guess. Serena Deeb, let's build her up as a heel to wrestle Hikaru Shida more. I don't know. I don't know what the end game is. There doesn't seem to be a plan at all for the women's division. Serena Deeb beats Sky Blue by Serenity Luck. You would think maybe you want to build up a Sky Blue because she's a babyface, and Britt Baker is your women's champion, and Jade Cargill is your TBS champion, and they're both heels. No babyface challengers to speak of, and all AEW's doing in their precious TV time is building up more heels for their division that they don't need. What the fuck?
I guess it's probably for Thunder Rosa, I think, to eventually defeat.
All right. Where's she?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Like, she's wrestling indies as well, too, so I guess her schedule is busy. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's very surprising that they have a lot of them wrestling indies. You see them getting COVID because of that as well, so it's like, maybe they should limit that?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe your top babyface should be signed to an exclusive deal. If you're trying to have a top babyface in the company, maybe it should be exclusive, you know? Young Bucks Roppongi Vice history promo aired, like the history of their New Japan feud. Lots of New Japan Pro Wrestling footage there. Interesting.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool. I didn't mind it. It's fine.
Forbidden Door. A Tyler, the lacrosse player, promo aired. The Action Bronson music helped, but goddamn. I don't care about Tyler the lacrosse player.
I missed it. I didn't see it.
You know, Tyler Lacrosse. You know him. They call him Hook in AEW, but he's, Tyler.
Oh, do they call him that?
Little Tyler.
Well, who was he wrestling on Rampage this week?
Serpentico?
Right.
That's
that's like the least interesting
a dark match.
Like,
it's a fucking joke.
They should be building up for Hook. Like, the challenges should get harder and harder, not like, let's take a step down again.
This Hook thing is going to fail. Prediction. This will fail. I'm telling you. It's not going to work. Long term, this won't work.
I think
also, I don't believe him.
Pretty well right now.
I don't buy him as a badass. He's Taz's son. He's the son of a guy who made millions in pro wrestling. He's only got a job in pro wrestling because of his dad. He grew up playing lacrosse. He's got a couple judo throws. He looks tiny. AEW went through the trouble and money of licensing an Action Bronson song for this guy. His name's Tyler. I don't know. Tyler Chicken. I don't know. It's just the hype around this guy is bizarre to me because I see him and I think, yeah, he's okay, I guess. I'm like I don't hate him, but I'm confused as to why everybody seems to love him. He's got a couple nice judo throws, I guess, but other than that, I don't know. I don't believe him. Look at his ears. I don't believe him. He's got baby ears. He's got no cauliflower. He doesn't look tough. He's cute. He's Taz's little son. He's a cute little Tyler. Sure, for the girls, maybe he's good, but for me, these grown men that are marking out for little Tyler, I'm like, what's wrong with you grown men? What's going on here? Something missing with these grown men marking out for Tyler. I'm not calling him Hook. He's Tyler now. Tyler, the lacrosse player. Lacrosse, too. I mean, it's not really the first kind of sport you think of when you think, oh, tough, badass, He's really good at lacrosse. He's not a football standout. He's not an amateur wrestler standout. As far as I know, he's got no credentials in judo, even though his father claims to. Unfounded, really. Santino would whoop that ass, is what I'm saying. Santino's a far more legit judoka than Taz, but anyways, it's another story. I'm not really buying Tyler. But he's got a good theme song, so I like that. Good choice of music, but, He seems cool, though. He seems like a cool guy, right? Does seem like kind of cool. He's got hair and stuff. But as a wrestler, I just he's no Brock Lesnar.
Right. Yeah, of course. Like, it's not really about being a monster, I don't think, for him. Like, I know maybe he's got a lot of hype behind him, and you look at it and it's like, well, that's too much, but, he's something different. And I think that's what people like about him. That it's a different kind of feel when he comes out. It's a different kind of wrestling when he's wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, against Serpentico and the Bear guys, whatever, it's fine. But against legit talent, I don't know how this is going to work out. Because he's not that believable,
It's a building process here.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think it's a building process. But the problem is there's so much hype around him, and people are kind of building him up to be this thing. They want him to be a star now, but he's not there. He's not there yet. But people are acting I see the reviews and people talk about him. I'm like, him? He's fine, but you're going crazy about him? You're buying his t-shirt? Why? He's no Bryan Danielson, I'll tell you that much. Matt Hardy backstage with his friends. He has sold Andrade 51% of his Matt Hardy company thing. Matt will be the CEO. Andrade will be president. Says he and Private Party get 3 seats on the board, and Andrade and his manager guy get 2 board seats. There's a board of directors for the Matt Hardy House of Hardy, and now it's the Andrade House of Hardy or whatever. I don't even know what to make of that. There's a lot of bizarre shit on AEW, but this one was like, what the hell is it? Matt Hardy has sold 51%, so controlling interest in his faction to Andrade, but Matt Hardy retains control over the people. What the fuck?
Well,
I don't know.
The way I look at it, because I think, obviously eventually Jeff Hardy's going to come into AEW, right?
Okay.
So I think this is them getting Matt away from that group eventually, and then Andrade will just take it over completely, and Matt will just team with Jeff, I think.
Oh, I hope you're right. I really, really hope you're right, because like a super group with Matt Hardy and Andrade like leading it, it's kind of it's weird even for AEW.
It's only for now. It's probably going to be a couple months, and then they'll have a falling out. Andrade will just have everything, have all the control.
Yeah, that's fine. Would you want control of that group? I'd be like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Private Party and Butcher and Blade, like, you can keep them. I don't really want those guys. I don't.
For Andrade's gimmick, it makes sense because he likes being like the boss.
Yeah, but I'm saying, as far as goons go, those are not the prime goons in AEW. Those are not the goons you want.
What are prime goons when you think about it?
I think Jericho's got better goons.
Okay, fair enough.
MJF has better goons.
I mean, FTR, okay, but...
Wardlow, Spears. He's got better goons. Matt Hardy has the worst goon squad of all of AEW. The worst. The worst.
It's not great. There's no question about it, but again, for Andrade, I think he'll just take what he can get.
There was not a single segment tonight without something that just was a head scratcher. They didn't manage to pull anything off tonight except for the CM Punk shit where I went and Cody's thing and even Moxley. Punk, Cody, Moxley, solid. And this is again what I talk about all the time with AEW. They've got some high-level A1 level talents. Moxley, Cody, Punk. Perfect. No problems there. But then the other guys that they have is just kind of like, why do I have to watch Dante Martin talk? Or the other guy there with him, Lee Moriarty. Why am I seeing promos with Red Velvet and Layla Hirsch? Like, why does Sky Blue wrestle on TV? Why does Ethan Page still talk? There's just like a lot of shit on this show where I go, why is this happening? This seems very B level. There's A+ level shit, and then there's like C level shit, and you're like, why? At least in WWE, it's kind of like, B, 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 B+, B, 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 B. It's never great. It's kind of like, nah. But then AEW does some shit where you're like, what the fuck is this? Did not love the show tonight. Hopefully next week will be better. Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz versus Daniel Garcia and 2.0. It's AEW Dynamite Beach Break. Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy in a lights out match, which could be good. Good hardcore match. Probably both bleed. Should be the main event, too. Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara in a ladder match for the undisputed TNT title. I think that will be the match of the night next week. I'm predicting it right now. I think that'll be the best thing we see on the show. Cody and Sammy wrestle very well against each other. Great chemistry. Red Velvet versus Layla Hirsch will also be on Dynamite next week, in case you were wondering. Trent and Rocky Romero will take on the Young Bucks on Rampage this Friday. Jon Moxley versus Ethan Page on Rampage. Hook versus Serpentico set for Rampage as well. And Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay for the TBS title. Jam-packed Rampage. Jade Cargill wrestling. Tyler. Jon Moxley. The Young Bucks. Rampage could be good Friday. 4 big matches set up for that one. I think Rampage will be better than Dynamite. I think Dynamite next week will be better than Dynamite this week. This was usually AEW has the best TV show in all of pro wrestling, but tonight they missed the mark.
Well, I mean, I know you criticize me for low marks for AEW sometimes, but as you saw tonight, it's earned sometimes.
Yeah, but you like the bad shit. Like the stuff that I hated tonight, you were like, oh, I love when Sting beats up two young men half his age. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I like that stuff. Yeah, of course.
He's just like, it's just like, I want to believe in the Acclaimed, and when they get beat up by Sting, it's hard to buy them as a legitimate threat for any tag team in AEW. When they can't beat up Sting in a 2-on-1 scenario, after jumping Sting and Darby before the match, like, shit. Darby's gone, they got Sting cornered, and Sting's whooping that ass, and it's impressive that Sting can move around like he can at his age, and for a 62-year-old, he's amazing. For a wrestler, he looks old. You know?
I really want to see them as tag champs. Hopefully it happens sooner than later.
Darby and Sting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, fine. I honestly, it would be a step up from Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I can't believe they made those guys tag team champions. They haven't been on the show in a while either. They weren't on the show tonight. They're not on Rampage.
They were on Rampage the week before.
Last week, yeah, but they weren't there tonight. Did they win the belts last week? Or was it the week before?
They won the belts the week before.
Okay, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, they're setting up Billy Gunn's children versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. All right.
Well, that's not going to be the pay-per-view match, but hopefully they'll give the pay-per-view match to Sting and Darby. That'd be great.
I don't think they'll do that. Two babyface teams against each other. No, it's not happening.
I know, they probably won't.
They're not going in that direction. I don't think that Sting and Darby will become tag team champions in AEW. I don't think they do that. They're not going in that direction with these guys. They'll be a tag team, whatever, but I really, really doubt that they make it all the way to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and become tag team champions. Like, they're not taking the belts off those guys. Maybe down the road they'll become tag team champions. But I kind of wonder, like, when does Sting retire?
I mean, when he physically can't do it anymore, I think.
So 2008?
Well, we're not going backwards, but I know what you're talking about here.
Right? Like, I mean, I don't know. Tag team champions. I don't know if we need to go there. Let's, give it to Santana and Ortiz or even Brody King and Malachi Black. They're more intimidating. They're more legitimate.
There's a lot of good contenders. There's no question about it. I'm just saying give it to Sting and Darby now because, it works right now. Maybe it won't work later. Like you say with Sting, how long does he have left?
AJ making a solid point. He goes, it's like watching Steven Seagal in Under Siege in 2022. It doesn't...
Under Siege was a great movie.
Yeah, okay, in the 80s, when Seagal, but now if you tried to, push Seagal as, a legit action star, people would be like, this guy? And that's kind of what I feel like watching Sting. It's like, yeah, in the 80s he was, legit, but now you see him and you're like, this guy? It's not believable. It kills the believability in this movie. It is like watching Steven Seagal try to be the same guy he was in the 80s. And he's not at all. Not to say he can't move well for a man his age, but it's like if Hulk Hogan came out and started punching people left and right and just beat everybody up in AEW, would you be happy with that? Does that make sense?
Well, it's never going to happen in AEW. I mean, if it happened, it would happen in WWE.
Yeah, okay, whatever. It's not the point. If Ric Flair comes out, starts chopping Hangman, and pins him for the world title, you going to be happy with that? Say, oh, that makes sense. He's Ric Flair. Just because you're a Sting mark doesn't mean it has to make sense, John.
Just give the belt to Sting. I agree. Doesn't have to make sense. Just put the belt on.
You're such a fucking mark. What is the matter with you?
Sting is great.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want a 62-year-old world champion. That'll pop the rating. That'll make everybody go, oh, shit, AEW. AEW is really doing. Yeah, okay, that's stupid, though. Sting is a champion right now in 2022. Helping putting the young guys over, sure. But beating up guys that are half his age? 2-on-1? How does that help the next generation? How does that help anybody but Sting and Darby's tag team? And that's the main event. Why? Because they got to wrestle Sting?
Yeah.
Ugh, fuck, you're such a mark. You're such a mark. See him for what he is. 62-year-old Steve Borden who's still sticking around. And he's helpful and he's good and yeah, whatever, but the way he was booked tonight was fucking outrageous. And I don't even blame Steve Borden. That's Tony Khan's fault for what happened tonight. Yeah, let's take Darby out and let's have Sting just beat up the Acclaimed. Oh, that makes sense. Tony Khan. Come on, man. It's not Sting's fault. It's Tony Khan's fault for booking that nonsense. This whole show was Tony Khan's fault. Unless he wasn't there. Maybe he didn't book it. Maybe somebody else booked it, and that's why it sucked this week. I'm tired of talking about it. I don't want to talk about Dynamite anymore. I'm done. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about some legitimate shit. Tomorrow night, we're going to preview UFC 270. Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane coming up this weekend. UFC's got some real stories that you can believe in. Imagine Sting fighting Cyril Gane, how quickly that would end. You know? So we'll be previewing that tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Ringside Report Network. It'll be Ringside Report MMA. Freddie and AJ will be with me. We'll preview the whole of the UFC 270 card. Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno for the flyweight title in the co-main event. Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane for the undisputed UFC heavyweight championship of the world. Saeed Nurmagomedov, Khabib's cousin, taking on Cody Stamann as well on this card. Charles Air Jourdain coming in on short notice, taking on Ilia Topuria on the prelims. A lot of big fights to preview tomorrow night here on Ringside Report MMA. Johnny and I will be back on Friday night after SmackDown. We'll be watching Rampage as well. Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Hopefully SmackDown is better than Dynamite this week. You know, this is a very rare week where I think Dynamite sucked and Raw was actually pretty good. Raw was better than Dynamite this week, somehow.
Oof, not from what I saw from Raw. Saw that tag match. What was it? Becky and Doudrop against was it Liv Morgan and Bianca?
Yeah,
that was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was bad. You see the finish to that?
Exactly. And then I saw Seth Rollins almost killed Bobby Lashley. What the hell was that?
What do you mean?
When he gave him that dragon screw, I thought he broke his leg right there.
That was amazing. But he didn't break his leg. He was fine. That was a beautiful leg whip. That was amazing. I thought that match was really good. I liked Bobby and Seth this week. That was a good match. Looked like he ripped Bobby's leg right out. And then he put him in the half crab. And, Bobby was working fine. I think if you do a move that looks like death and you don't break the guy's leg, I think that's good. That's what wrestling is supposed to be.
He's lucky he didn't break his leg. It's so bad. That looked awful.
I thought Raw was better than Dynamite this week. I like that. I like the Seth Bobby main event better than the main event tonight.
All right, well. I don't agree with almost injuring a guy, but I don't know, it just felt like their chemistry was off. It felt like, I don't know, Bobby doesn't know Seth's like moveset. You could tell like he wasn't in position for a lot of things. Maybe that's what screwed up the dragon screw. I don't know, but it just seemed like Bobby seemed like he was just off in certain positions.
AEW didn't present anything as legitimate a match as Kevin Owens versus Damian Priest, which they did on Raw.
Oh, that was good. I enjoyed that. That was definitely the best thing I saw from Raw. But
and you know,
you deny the bad stuff.
Alpha Academy cut a good promo. Chad Gable did his thing. You know, like there was good stuff on Raw this week. Cody's promo
was good until Riddle came out.
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, Riddle ruins everything these days. Vince threatening to beat up Austin Theory. Like, come on. That was about as good as Cody's promo tonight. Vince's promo threatening to leave Austin Theory a mess of blood, snot, and broken teeth, and then saying he's going to take a selfie and send it to Austin Theory's mom. That was better than anything anybody said in pro wrestling in a very long time. Are you kidding me? That Vince promo was completely crazy, and I loved it.
I don't know really what to make of that kind of stuff because, like,
it's amazing.
Vince is very weird. Vince is very weird. Like, it seemed like he was almost laughing during the promo.
I don't know. I don't know what the hell that was, but, like, I don't know. I like that Vince promo more than, you know, Dante Martin speaking. At least Vince is a star. Right? Like, Dynamite throws out these jabronis that I don't care to see. At least Raw has, like, some legit people. Both shows were weird. But Raw, I think, was better this week, which is very rare that I'll say that. Usually Dynamite is by far the best wrestling show of the week, but not to me. Not this week. All right?
Well, wait for SmackDown. SmackDown's usually pretty good.
Seth Freakin's going to beat your boy, John, at the Rumble. He's taking that belt from your boy.
I feel more confident that he won't, actually.
Yeah,
I feel more confident in the way things are going.
Not after Raw. I felt pretty confident that Seth Freakin was going to win after Raw. He told Kevin Owens, when I win the Universal title, I'm bringing it back to Raw. And then Kevin's like, oh, well, that means we won't need Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley around. He's like, that's right. They're telling you Seth's going to win the title. He's going to keep it on Raw. And then Brock's going to go over to SmackDown and continue his feud with Roman. That's what they were telling you in that promo. That's what I believe will happen at the Rumble. Okay?
That's one possible path, sure, but I don't think that's the way it's going to go.
Well, we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it a little bit more on Friday night here, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the Ringside Report Network. I want to give a shout-out to the Super Chat leader, Doug Hepburn. Doug is the Super Chat leader right now, although Angelo stole it from Doug on Monday night, and it's possible he steals it again from him tonight. Angelo was the Super Chat leader on Monday. Thank you to Harold. Thank you to Doug for dropping Super Chats tonight. Thank you to all the members, Angelo, Harold, Doug, all the members that are checking in here tonight. Appreciate you. Peter saying tonight's show was setting up Beach Bash. That's why it wasn't as good. Yeah. I mean, that's really what John was saying. Tonight's show was just setting up next week's show. But the setup even was like, I don't need to see Dante Martin set up anything as far as promos. There's a lot of promos that were kind of weird and a lot of things they did that were weird. And why does Lance Archer need two managers? Like, just a lot of weird shit. A lot of weird shit. Like, okay, it's a setup show, and I get that. And tonight wasn't Beach Break. It wasn't a big episode of Dynamite, but even for like an everyday kind of throwaway episode of Dynamite, this felt like a really just let's throw it away and forget it ever existed episode of Dynamite. It reminded me of those Saturday night episodes of Dynamite where it was like, okay, going through the motions. We need to put on a show. Let's put on a show. Next week's show is the important show. Let's just set that one up and just kind of go through the motions tonight. This isn't the big show in D.C. Friday's the big show in D.C., so let's just, let's get it over with. That's what it felt like. It felt like not a lot of effort was put into this one.
We'll wait and see, too. I mean, the ratings will show if, the people actually cared about the show or not, or if they stick with it. I think usually people stick in for, like, the first little bit, and then if it's not good, they kind of leave. So wait and see what that says.
Well, they didn't have anything to really hook you, right? To keep you sticking around. When the main event started, I was like, oh, this is the main event? Sting and Darby against these guys? Like, all right. This didn't feel like a big main event. Sting and Darby tag team match, like, just the strength of Sting wrestling is not enough because he's done it too much on TV now. That's middle of the show. That's not end of the show. It's not a main event.
Well, when you look at who else was wrestling, they really had nothing else.
Right. And that tells you all you need to know about tonight's episode of Dynamite. If you look at what they had, they didn't have much. All right, well, we'll be back talking about Rampage. Rampage looks good. Dynamite looks good next week, so AEW will pick it up. This was just an off night. Off night for AEW. Oh, well. Maybe the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, will come back at some point and, breathe some new life into this company because 2 weeks without Bryan is a lot. It's a lot. Miss him. And, Johnny Hungy is Anna Jay's manager. Like, come on. There's some shit that they're doing in Dynamite where it's just like, they need to right the ship. There's a lot of things and a lot of people they're using they shouldn't use. A lot of people they're not using they should use. Tony Khan needs to give me a call and run some of this shit by me before he puts it on TV. All right? All right. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all the things. John, final thoughts here? Show's over.
Well, hopefully this is a decent build towards the pay-per-view here. I'm hoping the pay-per-view at least shapes up pretty decently. Like, I felt like the last pay-per-view, card-wise, it was interesting to look at. I don't know if it really delivered. So hopefully, again, they can at least deliver a solid card.
You did not think that... what was the last pay-per-view? Full Gear?
Full Gear.
It was pretty good.
The first match was the best match. And that's not always good when the pay-per-views does that, I find.
MJF and Darby was good. I think after All Out, though, everything's going to seem kind of less. Because All Out was one of the greatest pay-per-views ever. All Out 2021. Tough.
Okay, that was their best pay-per-view, no question. But, I mean, I feel like there's enough time in between the pay-per-views. There's no reason why they can't keep trying to have a better and better pay-per-view all the time. They have enough time to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the match should be Bryan versus Hangman at Revolution, but Johnny thinks it's going to be Archer, which I think is horrible. And MJF will also have the match of the pay-per-view, right?
Well, there's no question about that, I think.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, that's
MJF and Punk.
Best build.
Yeah. Unless Bryan has another classic with Hangman and wins the title, like that's possible, but I don't know. All right. Well, more time to talk about AEW and everything going on in the future. I'll be back here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for some UFC 270 preview right here on the Ringside Report Network.